can't tell it by looking at me, but I used to be cool. In high school, I had really long hair all the way down to my butt, and I was in a heavy metal band. There were 4 of us in the band, and we were all pretty much cut from the same cloth. Acne, tons of testosterone, greasy jeans, leather jackets, teenage angst, anger that we hadn't earned. And we had a really, really cool heavy metal band name. We were called Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg from Anchorage, Alaska. The first time we got together to play, we had 3 guitar players, of which I was by far the worst. So I was immediately demoted to bass player. Sorry, buddy. The theory being that because a bass had 4 strings to a guitar 6, it would be 33% easier for a loser like me to play. I was also appointed the chief lyricist of the band because I had the best grades of anyone in the band and owned a rhyming dictionary. So I wrote all of the big hits that Blitzkrieg had, like Death to Unbelievers and Armageddon is My Name. As the chief lyricist, they also decided it made sense for me to be the lead singer, or shouter as the case may be. I had Brian's blazing guitar to this side and Jeff's blazing guitar to that side and Ernie's loud drums behind me, so I had to really shout to project to make sure that people could hear the really important lyrics that I had written, like, death is all I know, at killing I'm a pro, murder, mayhem, death, destruction, it's the status quo. That's right, I used words like status quo, so they made me the lyricist. Now, if this seems really embarrassing to you, understand that I only agreed to be the frontman because I thought it would help me get laid. You know the pyramid of who gets laid in a band, right? It's the lead singer, lead guitarist, rhythm guitarist, drummer, bassist. Again, sorry, bud. So I decided that this would help me get laid. The high point of our band's career was our one and only tour. One of the guitarist's moms knew a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy who was looking for someone to play a gig in a high school band, a high school auditorium. And they would pay the princely sum of $500 for us to do this. Now, what you need to know about Alaska is there's a lot of really small towns that don't have a lot of culture. And so the idea of a band coming from the big city of Anchorage, population 250,000, was really excited to them. So we were told that there was this paying gig. We said, we're in, we're excited. Where's the gig? She said, it's in Tok. We said, awesome. Where's Tok? Now, if you're not familiar with the geography of rural Alaska, Tok is 317 miles from Anchorage. And not 317 regular miles, 317 Alaska miles, which means dark, cold, desolate, scary, icy, abandoned miles. And we did not see this as a problem. We saw this as an opportunity. We just needed 2 things. We needed transportation and permission from our parents because we were all 15 or 16. Transportation was not a problem. The guitarist borrowed a really beat-up van from a friend. Tour bus, awesome. And we all managed to secure permission from our parents, which I think the parents kind of fell into 2 categories. There was the parents who knew that their kids were good kids and responsible, and they knew they'd come back safely. And then there was the parents who just didn't give a shit. But between the 2 groups, we managed to all get permission, which was amazing given that we were going to drive to the middle of nowhere in the middle of winter, like 2 years before cell phones were invented. So we packed all our stuff into the van, and off we went to Tok, 317 miles in the middle of winter. I only remember one thing about the drive, which is the part where we almost died. We were coming around a corner on a really high mountain pass, and we hit a patch of ice, and the van really almost slid off the road, and we would have gone over a cliff, and it absolutely would have killed us all. Now, the irony of this was that not a year before, my personal hero, Cliff Burton, the bassist for Metallica, had been killed when their van, their tour bus, hit a patch of ice and slid off the road. And as much as I would have appreciated dying in the same way as my hero, I kind of was hoping that it would happen after I achieved rock megastardom and got laid. So I was glad that I did not die in a fiery crash and go up to rock god heaven. So we made it to Tok, and we loaded our gear into the surprisingly nice high school auditorium, paid for by tax dollars from all the suckers in the lower 48, so thanks. We loaded our stuff in, and we waited for the adoring throngs of nubile females to come and worship our band. When the crowd started to show, it was not so much throngs as handfuls, and wasn't so much nubile females as testosterone-filled, acne-covered, leather jacket and dirty jeans wearing guys like all the guys in the band. So at least we felt, kind of at home with everybody. So we launch into our opening number, and the plan is that I'm going to get up front and I'm going to say the usual kind of opening stuff you say at the beginning of a concert, like, "Hello, Toke, we are Blitzkrieg from Anchorage, and we're here to rock your faces off and put metal up your ass." And this is the plan. And I get about as far as "Hello, Toke," when, with a popping sound and a puff of smoke, the vocal amp broke. And not the kind of broke where you turn it off and turn it on again because you hope it'll start working. The kind of broke where you run to unplug it because you're absolutely convinced it's going to catch on fire. So now we had 2 hours to fill and no vocals. So we proceeded to play our normal, all of our hit Blitzkrieg and Metallica cover songs, all of which are about 5 to 8 minutes long and have about 3 riffs. So it's just the same thing over and over and over again for 8 or 10 minutes. Not a big hit with all the 6 or 8 people who came to our show. So at the end of the night, the organizers were less than excited to pay us the agreed upon $500. I think we negotiated $300 for our troubles. And we spent a night in a motel, and then we drove back on home. And after expenses, we pretty much had enough to pay for like a microphone cable. So it was our one and only tour, and I still look back on those days incredibly fondly. I did not ever get laid as a result of being in the band. I had to learn different skills like how to shower and how to talk to girls, stuff like that. The band didn't really help, but I still look back on those as some of my fondest memories. So to quote the great American poet John Bon Jovi, "I've been everywhere, but still I'm standing tall. I've seen a million faces, I've seen 20 or 30 faces, and I've rocked them all. Thank you, Boulder!"